Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 career, but episode number 90 today for the Spanish Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the Prix one at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, because that was possibly one of the greatest strategies I've ever pulled off on the F1 2019 game. The best gamble we've ever made, and we did the impossible with the slowest car on the grid. Spoiler alert, obviously, we went on for an insane victory at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Can't quite believe it. I'm pretty sure though we'll be coming back down to earth a little bit here at the Spanish Grand Prix, but that, like I said at the end of the episode, was an amazing moment, very much like I liken it to Malaysia 2012 for Ferrari, where Alonso won it surprisingly. Kind of a good morale boost to hopefully just keep us going here. We come to Spain then. Upgrades, you can see not all of them have come through. One of them has failed, unfortunately, which is the one of the minor engine upgrades, so we don't get all three of those upgrades, but it's near enough. We get a minor and that ultimate engine upgrade done. I'm happy the ultimate one didn't fail. If that was the one that failed, I would have been pretty peeved off there. So we've got still a massive boost, that is, to the engine side of things, and also we have the aero upgrade we also did. So that's a good leap forward. Now on the R&D graph, technically we're now the second worst team on the grid, and Red Bull now are the lowest down on the R&D graph, and you can see the gap is already closing up a little bit to the entire pack, and it's nice to see, for us at least, that pace of upgrades has slowed down a lot. Like, no longer, you know, the big leaps that the likes of Renault made from Bahrain to China, that's slowed down now, and everyone's kind of making small little gains as they maybe save up R&D points once again. Obviously, I'm sure they're getting to the end of their tree, so the upgrades coming through for them are major and ultimate ones, so they're going to take a while to also come in. So hopefully we can continue to go at the pace we're going, and eventually, I would say probably around Austria or Britain, I think we can hope to be on the tail end of that little pack there, basically, on the R&D graph. But the Spanish Grand Prix, as a whole, has always been a good Grand Prix for me, actually. I enjoy it. Against the AI, it's a pretty decent one for myself, so hopefully it can go well, but I'm going to say this now, definitely do not think we're going to do anything like what we did at Baku once more, unless there wants to be a safety car in that as well timed once more. I wouldn't obviously object to that, but let's go to qualifying then and just see how we do over one lap here at the start of the European portion of the season.
Qualifying's about to kick off any moment here at the Circuit Barcelona Catalunya. No doubt that today will be full of action on the track. This is a track that tends to ask quite a lot of the tyres, both front and rear. So is it fair to say a great deal of management will be needed in order to do well here?
Tyre wear is always something you have to consider to a certain degree. Finding a good car balance that suits the circuit will help prolong the life of the tyre, but it's true that some circuits, such as this one, are more challenging than others. How hard you can push them depends on your strategy and how tight the battle is around you.
Right, getting stuck into then Q1, overcast conditions at the moment here, so the track may be a little bit cold, but there won't be any rain, it'll look like, for the entire race weekend, so we don't need to worry about that. But I will say the car definitely, yeah, I can tell it's still lacking some downforce here and there compared to the Mercedes of last year. Didn't feel as quick, and I'm pushing pretty much flat out here and trying to find the limits of the car, and it doesn't feel that quick. So I think we're going to have definitely, like I said, a reality check for this episode as we come through now. The last bit of that first flyer in Q1, then opening DRS across the line. It's P9 at the moment, but we're going to go down the order, obviously, as everyone else sets some fast lap times. You can see there we're down to P12, Russell and P15. So right now, not looking too bad, actually. 3 minutes to go. At the moment, we would be into Q2, but I suspect other people are still yet to find that fastest lap that they've got there. And as we move through to our second flying lap, then at the very end of this session, we're down to P15. I'm not sure where Russell is, but I am right on the cusp now of making it through into Q2. So we need to go again and try and improve our lap times there. In Sector 1, we found about 1 or 2 tenths there. Getting a little bit better through the corners, but then in Sector 3, we're going to come up to a car here, a bit of traffic in the form of Giovinazzi here. We actually lose some time in the last sector and don't go any quicker on this second lap, and by the time we cross the line, we're actually on the top left. We're down to P17, and that is exactly where we will qualify. So we're out of Q1, so that brief positivity of making it through into Q2 last episode's gone away from us now, although George Russell did make it through, actually. So at least one of our cars has once again made it through into Q2. But this time, yeah, for some reason, I just couldn't find the pace in that second lap. Like you saw, I was up on my first sector and second sector, then lost it all in the last sector. Probably maybe should have gone for 2 laps really, rather than kind of sitting tight in P12. You know, when I saw that P12 and we're only 3 minutes to go, I probably should have done a second lap in the middle of the session, to be honest, because it's very, very tight there. I didn't really lose that much time to Russell, and lo and behold, he's up into Q2. But for us, in the end, it's going to be a bit of a silver lining in a way, because we do have a pretty worn gearbox. So I'm going to take this opportunity to take a gearbox penalty now, because I'd rather do it now at Spain, because at Monaco, if by any chance we manage to qualify a little bit higher than we maybe think, because obviously the driver can make the difference at Monaco, really. So I don't want to take the penalty then, because I think then we'll just have such a torrid time getting past cars. The AI are just, it seems like every season they get more and more aggressive and better at defending at Monaco. So I don't want to take that chance. I'm going to take it now. Obviously, being P17, it's not really going to, mean too much, going 5 places back then to the back of the grid, basically, for the start of the race. So yeah, it's a stark contrast, I guess, start to the race weekend compared to Baku. But here's hoping we just fight forward, basically, and maybe do a different tyre strategy, maybe to some others, and try and find ourselves back in the points once again. Let's go to the grid and see how we do on Sunday.
Good afternoon from a very familiar setting. It's race day here in Spain, and with everything still to play for in the championship battle, there's no room for mistakes in a Grand Prix that's well known for creating them. The Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, a track that will certainly force the drivers to push themselves. It consists of a very impressive main straight going into turn 1. It's a straight that also offers a DRS zone, so it's likely to be a hot spot for overtakes. Anthony Davison is here with me today, and together we'll be taking you through all the action at the Spanish Grand Prix. It can be hard for the cars to follow each other closely here due to all the dirty air coming off the car in front. So perhaps we're looking at a more strategic Grand Prix. What do you think on that one, Ant?
I'm not too sure about that, Crofty. Yes, it's hard to follow, but if you're brave on the brakes and willing to commit, there are definitely opportunities to be had here, like down into turn 10 after the DRS zone, for example. I don't think this is a race that's going to be decided purely in the pit stops.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and P2 goes to Daniel Ricciardo, a strong showing from the Australian. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Butler, Russell, Sergio Perez, and Stroll, Weber, Leclerc, Gasly, and Max Verstappen, Giovinazzi, Hülkenberg, Daniel Kvyat, and Magnussen, Raikkonen, Bottas, Romain Grosjean, and Lando Norris. The engineer, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Sebastian Vettel starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Alright, so a P19 then on the grid, because Sebastian Vettel also has some penalties to take, so we're not stone dead last. But unfortunate to see that so far this season, it seemed like the AI's simulation quali times in Q2 and Q3 were pretty good up until this episode for some reason, because we got the two Mercs on the front row locking out, and my teammate George Russell was up in P4. There was no rain or anything, so that is clearly the simulation times of the AI kind of breaking again and doing that usual thing that they used to do, where if you're unfamiliar with the F1 games, basically, essentially, because we've got these maxed out cars, obviously the paces have all changed, but what usually happens is if you don't make it through into Q2 and Q3, the AI go off the default base simulation times of Season 1 cars. So, that's why George Russell up in P4. So far, though, the first 4 races of this season, they've been pretty good every time I've not made it through into Q2 and Q3. But for some reason now, come Spain, they're back to the usual kind of thing of breaking a little bit and being a little bit unrealistic in terms of what we have in terms of the R&D and where everyone else is, basically, in terms of, like, Renault being the top team rather than Mercedes there. Yeah, frustration then in that kind of sense, in that regard, looking towards my teammate, but I can't get too annoyed with that. I'm just going to have to try and make the most of it and do the best job we can. So let's get into this then from P19 on the grid alongside Sebastian Vettel on the last row of the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix. We go to 5 red lights and we are underway as the lights are waiting an age to go out, but it's a good start for us initially compared to Lando Norris. They're trying to get through onto the right hand side, squeeze out Vettel, but he keeps his nose in there, so unfortunately can't do that. We bang tyres and he's going to force me to go on the outside instead. Bit of a iffy situation really. They're trying to send it around the outside of Norris whilst locking up, but we get get the move done down the inside of Romain Grosjean then. So good stuff there to gain 2 places in turns 1 and 2 as we swoop round now on the long right-hand deck. We make a move on Raikkonen. He's going to be a little bit slow, and it's a bit of a concertina effect as everyone slows down with each other. We go around the outside of Raikkonen, but Kimi gets very aggressive there and squeezes me right out there. Tyre on the grass and everything. We have a second bite of the cherry though, as he is again slow on the outside. Didn't learn my lesson though, because Raikkonen shoves us off again, and so my old teammate from seasons 1 and 2, no love lost here apparently it would seem, because Raikkonen's getting very, very aggy with me, and I just have an absolute mare here going through the chicane. All composure lost there. The back end steps out, and we lose 2 positions of Grosjean and Vettel, and we're back down to square one. We're back down to 19th place, so this is probably one of the worst lap ones I've ever had in a career mode. We've gone from having the best strategy ever I've done in the game and getting a victory to a horrendous start, and one of the most embarrassing lap ones I've ever had, really. I've never been done and squeezed out and just like pushed out of the way by an AI and then made a mistake like that ever really on that one. Usually it's quite a good moment for me in the Grand Prix to try and catch some position. So now we have to try and recompose ourselves and try and get back up the order then. So by lap number 3 on to lap number 4, we're still P19. I can't quite believe it. So yeah, very much a reality check. Back down to reality for us here at Ferrari. And you can see as we go down this main straight, it's going to be quite difficult to actually catch people in a straight line at the moment, because everyone has DRS off one another. And also I'm running a little bit higher wings, of course, because unlike Baku, we can't really afford to go lower wings here. We need the downforce in the corners, so I've had to compromise my setup in that kind of regard. Even with the engine power upgrades, the DRS train is just so powerful. And here, having to lift off with the dirty air there from Sebastian Vettel, and Norris makes a massive dive down the inside, and he's going to come through, like Raikkonen did, squeeze me there. And that just seems to be a massive weak point for me right now with this Ferrari car. So I can't seem to rotate the car fast enough mid-apex there when an AI car's down my inside. Usually I'm able to keep it around the outside, you know, pull it through on the left, and I'll turn to the inside line for the next corner. But yeah, so twice now from Raikkonen and Norris, I've been done so easily on that right-hander, so I need to try and watch that and try and cover off the inside, you know, if we have the chance to defend, because right now we're now stone dead last in this Grand Prix. Again, I can't believe I'm quite saying that. And now we watch on Sebastian Vettel fighting with Romain Grosjean, I believe that is in the Haas, and Norris watching on as well, and basically I'm just trying to wait to see when we can make a move here. So that's why I'm going a little bit early on the brakes, you can see in the corners, trying to suss out maybe can I cut in a little bit tighter, perhaps get a better line. Right now that's not really working, to be honest, so I'm just kind of sitting back here in sector 2, just watching those two still go at it there. Sebastian Vettel on the right, Grosjean on the left there, goes down the inside, he gets the move done. Literally an entire side-by-side battle for a whole lap there, but we get a great run now, finally up the hill. We're going to send one to the inside of Lando Norris there. Vettel defends from the Frenchman. We're going to kind of follow Vettel through, and we're going to get very aggy with Norris, get the elbows out, because I've had enough pretty much. It kind of peeved me off now that we've been in last place, or second last place now, for 5 laps of this GP. This is a lot of time wasted, and I'm just thinking ahead to later on in the race of how many positions and potential points this might be losing me later on in the race, because I'm stuck here still in this traffic basically. I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, you can see up the road the cars are still there because the fuel spread's so small, but it just doesn't feel great still being P19 in a Ferrari in lap number 6. So we now go for the move on Romain Grosjean there off a good run off the last corner we got, and we're up into P18 finally. Couldn't quite get Vettel, had a little look, but in the end had to just kind of get out of that and just get the move done on the Frenchman first. But we move now later, same place on the very next lap, lap number 7, DRS open. Vettel a sitting duck this time with no DRS, and finally it's an easy pass in a straight line up into P17. And now you can see, look at this glorious bit of clean air, and up ahead there's a massive train. Look at the minimap, that's about a 6-car train, and you're going to watch me in a matter of just 1 lap. We're going to catch up to Raikkonen, or 2 laps rather, onto lap number 9, and we're already on the back of Raikkonen. So that's how much the clean air means right now in Season 5, with how close things are in the midfield with the field spread. You just have to get in clean air, you have to make the moves quickly, and if you don't, you're going to lose so much time. You're fighting with cars. It sounds annoying really, because obviously you guys know me, I love a good race and a good fight, but really you kind of can't dawdle. You kind of have to just get it done. You can't afford to have a side-by-side for too long, because otherwise you're going to lose out too much of the cars ahead of you. So we move on now to lap number 11. There's now Daniel Ricciardo out of the Grand Prix, the Aussie in the Mercedes car, getting very unlucky this season. I think that's his second DNF, is it, or second issue he's had this season. So 1 free position up into P13 now, as we're now in this fight with trying to get in a fight with Valtteri Bottas there. He's following Hulkenberg, and then Kevin Magnussen, I think there's, or Giovinazzi in the second Haas here. Can't quite get Bottas though. We're practically pushing him through this next right right apex here. So again, getting re-frustrated of not being able to make an overtake here. Getting some PTSD from the opening few laps of not unable to get past Grosjean and Vettel and Norris here. Can we get a good launch on the last corner? No, look how much the Ferrari is snapping away there, having to go opposite lock and soar away at the steering wheel through the last corner. So at the moment, still not very happy in the car. I mean, something was a little bit off in quali, and still just the car doesn't feel like I don't have that supreme confidence yet. As we now, as I say that though, sail to the inside there, just let the car roll through. Little bit over aggressive with Bottas there, gave him a little love tap on the right hand side, but like I said, the red mist kind of did start to fall a little bit because I was getting so annoyed that we were so low still with so many laps gone this Grand Prix. So up into P12 now. Can we try and get Hulkenberg there again? The oversteer kicking in though, but this time the car doesn't twitch too much on the rear end. So DRS open, overtake mode, Rich Mix, but he's got DRS obviously off the car ahead of him, so it's going to be tough. We're gaining a little bit there, but then we get a massive screen freeze for good measure, and so that pretty much cools off any kind of attack I was going to make there. So we move on to the end of that lap 13, and we're now come in for an earlier pit stop because my engineer wanted me to come in on lap 15. My original strategy was lap 14, so I thought I'll come in one lap earlier, try and get some clean air, because I just thought it's going to be better to be in clean air. Oh yeah, on the hard tyres, but that's surely going to be faster than being stuck behind those three cars for another 2-3 laps, because just remembering how much time I lost basically at the start of that race in the opening 5 laps. So we're on to the hards. They're not the best tyres around here, like Baku. I mean, they're not really that great anywhere really on this game, the hard tyres. I'm not a big fan of them, but they're going to hopefully do the job in clean air as we now come out in P18 behind Lance Stroll, ahead of Kimi. So at least we didn't lose enough time to lose time to Kimi Räikkönen when he made an early pit stop. We get right up behind the Canadian once again. Now the slowest car on the grid, the Red Bull is, remember, on the R&D graph now, and he's holding me up just like Valtteri Bottas did, but this time I'm having none of it. We come through the right-hander, we're going to send it to the inside, the chicane there, and we get a little bit close and breezy with Stroll. There was some contact made, warning for a collision, so I'll put my hands. It's not been the cleanest driving from me so far this race, but the frustration was real, to be honest, so that's basically that's just why I didn't care anymore, to be honest. But now we move on to lap number 16. You can see here, making a horrendous move on Kvyat there. Hit him on the right front there. It's not pretty racing, but it gets the job done up into P14. That time the FI said nothing. I had no warning for collision, so that was apparently cleaner than the move I made on the Red Bull. And so as we move on now, lap 17, we've got a whole load of cars in the pit lane, and we have made a massive undercut jump there up into P9 now, and look who's ahead of us, George Russell. Like I said, he'll be going backwards in this race from P4, I'll be going forward. So now lap number 19, the last third of this Grand Prix, it's me and him battling for P7, it would seem like there, as we're now up into P8. So that strategy, going to hards a little bit earlier, that's how much they're fighting, the guys ahead of me, because I made that massive leap and basically gained about 3-4 positions out of nowhere just by being clean air on the hard tyres. So fabulous stuff. And now can we try and close up and overtake our teammate George Russell for some more points in this Grand Prix potentially. I think this is the first time this season that me and George will actually have a proper on-track battle here. Ferrari v Ferrari. Of course, we may have had a little bit of a battle here and there on opening laps of the previous races, but that was for the kind of lower positions. This time it made some juicy points. P7 and P8. Here we go. Closing up. DRS. Fade to the right. Go to the left there. Keep him guessing. Go the long way around. It's going to turn to the inside for the next corner, but Russell does amazingly to keep it round, and we have to give him the space, of course, being our teammate, a little bit more space than I usually would do to other rivals, so we're still side by side. He's got it through. I'm going to squeeze him to the right, go back to racing line, but again, this corner is such a weakness for me, it would seem, in this car especially, and Russell's squeezing me out, and then we get a massive screen freeze at the worst time. Literally, my life flashed before my eyes there because Russell was brake checking me. Let's look at a replay because I went back in the replay cameras. This is how it looked without the screen freeze. So you see where my steering wheel straightened up. That was when I had the screen freeze and the recording didn't pick up what happened. But essentially, I got very, very lucky because I was either going to hit him or just, basically I let off the throttle, and whilst the screen freeze happened, thankfully my car didn't keep on going forward, otherwise my front wing definitely would have smashed into his rear end there. So Russell playing it very aggressive on the, it wasn't an intentional brake check, it's just the natural racing line there, but yeah, that corner, that's 3 times now, I've been absolutely done by the AI there. But no worries, that's not going to be the end of our race, and that's definitely not the end of this battle as we come through once again, and this time we've got a little bit more momentum down this main straight. Lap 21, we're going to pass him indefinitely there. This time fade to the left and then go to the right this time on the inside there. The opposite of what we did last time, but you can see compared to last lap, we get the move done way before we even start braking for turn 1. And so in the end, it's a bit of an easy move for P7 on our teammate Russell there. But to be honest, it's really good to see that myself and him are both up here in some, well, I wouldn't say decent points, but it's solid points compared to what we've had so far. It's always just been me getting the P6 or 7 and him getting no points. So it's good to see both of us are going to get at least a decent haul to try our best to maintain that P4 in the Constructors we kind of magically got off that surprising race win last time out. And the good fortunes are going to continue because Leclerc has an engine failure right in front of our eyes there on the pit straight, trundling along on the left, probably going to park it up here somewhere on the left with his escape road there. So one more free position for both myself and Russell up into P6 and Russell P7. So before the race win of Baku, this would have equaled our best result P6 here, and Russell, I think this is definitely going to be his best result in P7. And you know what? Fair play to him. Lap 26, he's actually keeping me quite honest here. You can see he's still within 1 second. He's got DRS, and he's actually getting on me there. We're overtake mode, standard mixture at the moment here, but I actually have to defend from him a little. He has a little look on the left-hand side, so he's still trying to go for it, and he's keeping me very much on my toes. It's not like I'm just waltzing away and kind of relaxing for the rest of this Grand Prix there. So as we move through, 6 laps to go, continue to push on and try and maintain the pace. And thankfully, by the time we get to lap 33, we are pulling a little bit of a gap there. So on the last lap there, probably not too much of an issue for us to lose the position on the last lap. Very gloomy now, overcast. So maybe if there's a few more laps, there might be some rain to come later on, but thankfully not. The race will end on this lap. I'm curious to see who actually won the Grand Prix. I'm not actually sure. I can't actually remember who won it. Lucas Weber across the line for fast up the Grand Prix. Looks like it's going to be him. Yes, our old F2 teammate wins the Grand Prix in the Renault as expected. Kind of the Renault is coming back in this Grand Prix, being the fastest car on paper, and the two Mercs falling away from that front row. They kind of glitched through on Saturday, but we come through for a very, very decent. I'm very happy with this result actually. P6, considering how bad our lap 1 was, I will very much take this P6 position.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Renault. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, tyre management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
Once again, it's podium time, and once again, it's a clear win for Renault. Renault have seen their fair share of success in Formula 1, and today is proof that they've still got what it takes to thrill us all. Congratulations to everyone on the team.
So maybe a far cry from where we were last episode in P1, but like I said, I'm actually really happy with that P6. I'm really happy for the team. That 6 and 7, that's a solid result. That shows some real improvement as a team. We're now solidly getting to these points. Yes, qualifying still needs some work, but in the race, it seems like we have a very good race car. The quali car may not be there, but to be honest, I've never been a great qualifier anyway. I usually do my talking on Sunday during the Grand Prix, and with that, we actually still maintain that P4 in the Constructors ahead of Alfa Romeo, Toro Rosso, Racing Point, Williams, Red Bull, and Haas. So happy days there, really. And yeah, I don't know what it is compared to previous seasons. Actually, even though we're not getting high results, I'm actually really enjoying this kind of sort. It's not really a grind, but I'm enjoying this challenge of trying to take this very bad Ferrari up the order, really. And it's still enjoyable to drive because obviously it's a Ferrari car, so the base car it always it was always going to feel great from season 1. It's just the fact that all the other AI cars are a lot faster. So it's not like the car feels horrendous to drive. It's just that every other car's faster, so it's still enjoyable to drive, even though we're battling for P19 or 20 on lap 1, depending on the kind of race start we get. But yeah, a decent Grand Prix for the team. And after that episode, then we're going to focus on some air upgrades, surprisingly. But it's because we've got Monaco coming up, so we're going to go ahead and do 2 minor upgrades on the front and rear downforce of the car. that will hopefully both come in and not fail for next episode. So that'll come in for Monaco. We'll obviously run the highest wings there and hopefully try and do the best job we can. And now we've also sorted that issue we had with the gearbox. We've already taken the penalty there. I'm going to go ahead and probably use my more worn internal combustion engine, the first one on the first column at Monaco. I actually used the second one this episode, but I'll probably put the worn one back in for Monaco because, of course, the engine power won't mean as much there as it would at the circuit. So hopefully those two don't fail and they'll come in, and we'll leave the failed engine upgrade. We'll leave that to purchase next episode, and that'll be guaranteed to come in then for the Canadian GP, which obviously will be useful on the back straight there. So that's the plan then for R&D upgrades. But yeah, a very solid day, I think. Obviously not as good as last episode, but still I would say mega in terms of just showing the progress we're making as a team. But also just a very weird Grand Prix, really, in the opening. I'm still baffled by that entire opening, like 8 laps of I just couldn't drive for some reason. Like the AI was just so quick, and I just did not have the pace, and I was not feeling that car. But in the end, we made it work. So guys, if you did enjoy the episode, be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been Aarava. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.